were talking about working with different artists. Is there one in particular that you worked with you thought you had a real connection with, a really good team you enjoyed?
I could say yes, but then I'd have to qualify it. I mean, I've said this before many times, but it's no less true. How do you choose between John Byrne and Neil Adams and you know, Salvador La Roca and Frank Miller? I mean, they're all top-notch artists. You know, Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri. They all bring different strengths and different weaknesses. They all bring assets and liabilities, but they are all fundamentally, positively A-plus list people. Choosing with them is it's like a guy sitting across the table from you and your wife saying, "So who's your favorite girlfriend?" Before you got married. Yeah, right. Tell me another one.
Was there anybody you have worked with that you really liked?
Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko.
Well, he's still alive, isn't he?
Ditko?
Yeah.
I don't think so. My memory could be wrong, but Joe Kubert, but I don't work for DC. He doesn't work for anybody else. There are scores of people I'd love to work with, but you know, you play the hand you get. I'm working with a brilliant artist now in France on a 3-part graphic series for France that's historical fantasy. Phil Briones. He did some work for DC last year, and he's absolutely superb. Unfortunately, to read it, you'll have to read French, but it's a good story. Yeah.
What would you, like, what's your, like, I've read a lot of your X-Men stuff, but I haven't really read much of anything else by you. What would be a good route to go?
Exiles?
Well, I'm reading Exiles. I still
Gen
consider
X?
that an X book.
Hmm?
Still, I mean, it's still an X book. Is there anything out of the X domain that you are particularly proud of that you've written?
Black Dragon.
Black Dragon?
By me and John Bolton. Murata the She-Wolf by me and John Bolton. Wanderers, when it comes out. The Superman Wonder Woman was a lot of fun. That's as good a place to start as any.
Okay.
How much does current events influence your writing? Like, does it at all?
It depends on the circumstances. Bearing in mind, I'm plotting books that won't be on sale till New Year's. So even if I see something today that I feel is that inspires a primal response, it'll be 6, 7, 8 months before it comes out. It's all part of the current events. Is very much an aspect of it. The trick is to not get so locked into it that the reader won't know what you're talking about when it or won't care when you come out. I mean, the sad thing is that many of the things I was writing about 20 years ago, which grew out of Vietnam, turn out to be just as valid today, growing out of Iraq. In some ways worse. So what you sort of try and do is balance the external events of the current events, so to speak, with the ongoing emotional realities of the characters within themselves and within their interactions with others. It's not even so much the events themselves, but how the characters choose to react to them. One of the things I've been thinking about is how do the exiles feel about the fact that, in a way, they're dilettantes. They come in, they solve a problem, they leave, and they never go back. I'd like to do a story where they go back. That's partly why I left so many loose ends in Gambit's world, because in my vision, I don't know if I don't know how the editors or the publisher will feel about it, but in my vision, I'd like to go back and see what happens next in Gambit's world, not leave a loose end. Discover that solving one problem merely opens the path to the revelation and the necessity to deal with another problem, and that it's an ongoing process. That you can't, even though the publishing structure is, everything has to be bundled in 6-issue bumps so that we can wrap it all into a nice, neat trade paperback, the life isn't like that. That things that happen on Monday may have an effect on Friday, may have an effect a year from now or 10 years from now, and you suddenly wake up and think, holy, did I do that? I should have done that. Oh, that's life, and the challenge and frustration in terms of writing, especially writing comics, is that you are both the arbiter of their destiny and the prisoner of it. You've got to play fair with the characters and the audience, even as you drive them crazy.
I have a question with Gambit. Big fan. I'm just wondering if, when you created him, if you kind of thought he would be just another mutant, or did you know that he would take off in popularity the way he did?
You never know. I could have wished for a better costume. But Jim, it was Jim, so who cared? He was originally designed to be a villain. But bear in mind, I also created him thinking I was going to be around for another 10 years, not 10 months. And the directions he was taken after I left, and the revelations about Sinister that occurred after I left, were so antithetical to the conception that it just rendered both character and concept, from my perspective as a creator, basically irrelevant. So the Gambit I'm writing in Exiles is actually, emotionally speaking, structurally speaking, a lot more faithful to the Gambit I had in mind when I started, except that his dad isn't a villain. And we'll see where it goes.
Actually, I've done some magic cards. What I'm doing now is a lot of commission work. This is a time right now when people really like to have original artwork done for themselves.
So who were some of your influences when you were learning?
Boy. Now you're going to make me betray my age. How dare you? Michael Mignola.
Okay.
In fact, he's like me. He's somebody who's still doing it, which is really good.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see. Bernie Wrightson, of course, but everybody's like that. Going way back, originally Leonardo da Vinci, but that was because I was a nerd girl.
Okay.
Something wrong with art history.
Yeah, well, you know.
What about Wendy Pini?
Wendy Pini stuff I liked a lot. I loved her storytelling sense. Art-wise, although I admired her art, it wasn't really my style. Now, ironically, I've come around to doing some pieces that are more anime style, but it's really less influenced by Wendy Pini and more influenced by Ghost in the Shell. Which I love. Comic book Syndicate, assemble!
Okay.